What's going on, everybody? In this video, I'm going to break down what you say when a prospect tries to kind of push you off the call, right? You're doing outbound dials to inbound leads or cold calling even. And a lot of times people are just going to say like, yeah, hey, now isn't a good time. Can you call me back later? Can you send me more information? Or they'll try and push that off, right? It's super, super common. You need to actually be anticipating that when you're doing dials. So if you're not prepared for how to handle that, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities. What's up, everybody? Again, I'm Brian Downard. If you haven't been on this channel before, we run a coaching agency for marketing, social media marketing, SaaS companies, and we help install our client acquisition systems into their business. We've helped our clients make more than $250 million in this space, and outbound setting and dialing is one of the things we are exceptional at, and hopefully here in this video, I can give you this very specific insight. Gonna not go super wide or go too far in depth like some of the other videos. This is gonna be a little bit more of a quick hitter, just solve this one problem for you. But if you find this helpful, do me a big favor, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. We're obviously growing this, and every single one of those helps. So without further ado, let's dive into the good stuff. Now again, this objection is going to come up in a lot of different ways, and it could be that they are actually in the middle of something. They just don't want to talk to you, and they're being polite. They want you to send more information because they don't really know you or trust you yet. There's a number of things you need to do in order to kind of get past that. So what I'm going to do is break down some of the rules I have around that for different situations as well. And I'm going to actually show you behind the curtains here towards the end of this video of our actual script, two different versions that you can use, and the little nuances behind those scripts that allow you to sort of interject a pattern interrupt into these conversations, right? So again, different ways this will come up, but here are the rules, okay? The first rule is never ever take that first no or that push off, right? The best appointment setters in the world and the people that I see that who absolutely crush this, they just stick to the script. They stick to the process. They jump to the next question. You want to for sure acknowledge that, hey, like, I understand you're busy, it makes sense, but then you just keep going, right? Obviously, if someone gives you a couple of off ramps to like, they're politely really pushing you off, or it seems like they have a really legitimate reason of why they can't talk right now, okay, you might want to respect that so you don't totally burn the bridge, but I'll give you some nuance here of how to handle that. All right, so never take that first push off, right? So first thing I would do is say like, hey, yeah, I totally understand. You want to build some authority as well, right? Because if you are perceived as having lowered status because you're really like needing them to say yes, or really needing this person who picked up to talk to you right now, they'll feel that, they'll put their guard up and they'll back away. So what I always like to do is tell them like, yeah, hey, totally understand. I'm actually just in between calls myself. I don't have a ton of time either. So put yourself in the same boat as them. Like, hey, this isn't something I'm gonna take a bunch of your time. I'm busy myself. I know I called you kind of out of the blue. And then you just jump into whatever your next question is. And again, depending on what you sell, my favorite thing to do is ask more of a qualifying question that kind of makes them have to answer it. People's brains cannot ignore a question. And so very likely when you're calling someone like, hey, is this John? Hey, John, it's Brian here from Alex Schlinsky's team. How you doing today? And then they'll kind of be confused, like, wait, what is this about? Yeah, I'm calling you because you opted in to our ad on Facebook. And then they might, I don't have time for this now, whatever. Hey, it totally makes sense, man. Like, I actually in between calls myself. I don't have a ton of time either. I just want to ask, like, do you run a marketing agency? And again, you want to ask the question that you know they will say yes to, because you want them to take a step closer to having this conversation with you. And so they'll likely answer yes, because that's what our ads are running to, is marketing agencies. So again, depending on who you serve, insert like, hey, you run a XYZ thing, or hey, you're a XYZ person, right? And the idea here is to get them to say yes. I always like to crack a little bit of a joke here as well, where it's like, oh, awesome. Okay, it sounds like our marketing team is not fired this month. Good for them. I know I called you out of the blue and it sounds like you're kind of busy, but do you mind if I just ask a couple really quick questions to see if it even makes sense for us to connect later? And now that's kind of you jumping into your next question. Again, this is not going to be word for word a script you're just going to have to read. It's contextual based on how the conversation goes. But you want to try to not let them even have an objection about who you are, what is this about, I don't have time. You try to jump right into that, what I call softball question of that qualifier of, hey, you're XYZ person or you run an XYZ business, right? Cool. So after the second push off, if they try like, look, man, I'm really busy right now. Like I can't talk at all. It's like, hey, like, look, John, like I would hate for us to have to chase each other down and then let more time pass by, and then you don't unfortunately get the help you need. So if you just give me like 30 seconds, this will not take long, and then we don't have to try and like do this later. We'll just see if it makes sense for us to connect right now. Now, if they're still pushing you off, I would try and move in to set a tentative time instead of just say, hey, I'll call you back later, send me some more information. Because again, that person's going to call screen you later, see that phone number, they're not going to pick up later. They're going to get back into their life, get distracted, and not do anything about it. So what I always try and do, hypothetically, if they do try and push you off for the third time, is you move in for a tentative set. Like, hey, John, like, no problem, I can call you later, but why don't we do this just so we don't have to chase each other down? Let me just actually schedule this in the calendar for later today. What time works for you? 4 p.m. Eastern? Okay, cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have our system send out a quick just invite. It'll let you know the link we can jump on. Would you prefer to do a phone call? Can I keep this more casual later, or would you want to jump back on this link? Okay, cool. But I will send the invite, and if anything changes, you can just text me here. And now, again, chances are a lot lower here in this situation if you didn't really get to have the conversation, didn't actually build any like need or urgency or desire for what you're selling. Chances are still lower that they'll pick up, but at least you have the call set in the calendar. And if you have automated emails and texts set up, those will go out, and it's just going to be easier than trying to chase them down by just doing another phone call. And sometimes, again, if someone is genuinely not interested, you can just ask them that too. It's like, hey, if this is something that's not a priority for you right now, like, let's not even worry about calling each other back, but are you not trying to get XYZ outcome, whatever the thing is they opted in for? Very likely they'll say yes. Say, cool. So it just makes sense. Like, let's just take 5 seconds, put it on the calendar, 4 p.m. work for you. Great. I'll lock that in. I'll call you from this number later, or we'll meet on that Zoom link. Awesome. Thanks, John, for your time. I'll see you in a little bit, and we'll chat this out more later. Pretty straightforward, but the biggest rule here is never take that first push off. They're going to push back a little bit, very likely in the beginning. Just keep rolling through that. You can acknowledge it. Yeah, it totally makes sense. Like, I'm busy myself. And then you jump into your next question. This is the key to doing this. All right. So in terms of like a follow-up call, because this might be a little bit different, right? This might be someone who you've already had a conversation with, and they maybe ghosted you, or they no-showed a call, or you had a conversation a few weeks back, but then it kind of just fizzled out. So what I like to do when I pick up the call and I like trying to do the push off, like, oh, like, I'm really busy right now. Can you talk to me later, Brian? Like, hey, like, look, man, I don't want to have to like have you chase each other down. I don't want to make any assumptions either. But did you find what you were looking for in terms of, getting more clients for your business? And if they say yes, again, I'm rolling into my next question. Once you start asking questions, the person asking questions is the one leading the conversation. It's very hard for their brain to ignore that question. Some people will put up that wall and block you off, but that's okay. Again, this is kind of why we have the first push off, second push off, third push off. But in terms of follow-up call, I jump right into like, if they did find something that worked, like, okay, great. Like, what's been working well for you? Do you feel like, it could be maybe better though? Like, what would you change if you could change something about that? And now you're going to look for kind of probing a little bit to see what pain there is that you can maybe angle for, like, hey, well, if you think it can be better and you want to change XYZ thing, like, let's just put a call on the board a little later and we can talk through that and I'll give you some insight. Would that be helpful for you? Great. And then if not, if they haven't done anything yet, if they haven't found the solution, hey, like, why not? Like, how do you, think you're going to maybe get where you want to go if we don't change anything, or if we keep doing the same thing? Would you be open to a short conversation where I can kind of recap what we do and see if it's still in a place where it makes sense for you? So again, this is not as important. This is more of the nuance of the follow-up call, but here's just some frames you could use that should be helpful. So let's actually go jump into the scripts, and I'll show you both of the ones we use right now, and that way you have that ammo as well. All right, so 2 different ones here. We have the warm call frames and then the cold call frames. So in terms of warm calling, you can see like the different frames are here. Obviously, like, reading it word for word is going to sound robotic. You want to know what the frames are, be able to say them, but it doesn't have to be said the same exact way every single time. So let's go through this real quick. I'll talk about the frames, and then I'll run through one entire script so you can kind of hear it word for word. So we have a quick opener, quick question, context as to why you're calling. Then we have what I call the assumed set and the softball question. These are going to be key to any outbound dials that you do. Again, I sometimes like to open with a joke a little bit, not open, but have a joke in there. If you can get someone to laugh, get that dopamine hit, huge difference in the conversation. They're going to be more open and receptive for sure. Permission to continue. Getting the permission is key. You want to give them a chance to say no, or they feel like they have no power in the conversation. They're less likely to hear you. Qualification a little bit. Again, we want to confirm their need, confirm their timing, confirm their budget, and confirm their authority to make the decision. Then confirmation that you can help. You want to set the call and you tie down a time. So pretty straightforward, but let's break it down in more depth, and feel free to screenshot this and take it for yourself. I want you guys to win, whoever's watching this video. So by the way, quick pause as we're kind of entering a little more than halfway through. Hopefully it's not 10 more minutes. But if this has been helpful, do me a big favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment below if you want to kind of hear more objection handling like this, more scripts like this, and that way I kind of know I can keep bringing the content to you guys, and it'll help the channel a lot. So I really appreciate that. But all right, let's run through the script in its entirety in 3, 2, 1. Hey, this is John, right? Hey, John, it's Brian with Alex Schlinsky's team. How are you doing today? Yeah, so I'm calling you because you actually opted into a ad on Facebook to check out our Prospecting in a Box demo. I just want to personally reach out and see if it even made sense for us to connect. You run a marketing agency, right? Okay, great. Our marketing team is not fired this month. Good for them. I know I called you out of the blue, and I'm actually between calls myself, but do you mind if I just ask you a couple of quick questions to see if it even makes sense for us to connect at a later time? It should just take a few moments. Okay, great. Just so we're on the same page, are you trying to get more clients for the business? Is that why you opted into the demo, or what's going on? What are you trying to do right now? Got it. Okay, well, when are you hoping to try and take some steps towards solving this issue? We're talking a few months down the line, right now. What's your timeline look like? Okay, cool. And obviously there's a financial investment required to work with us. And so hypothetically, if we were able to do some of these things and help you get more customers and it would work for you and make sense for you, do you even have capital set aside to be able to invest in something like this, assuming the ROI makes sense, of course? Got it. Just super last easy question. Is there anyone else who would need to be involved in this conversation that we should loop in? Business partner or anything like that? Got it. Okay, cool. Well, great. So, if we could, based on what you said, help you get more consistent clients, get you better on the phone, add about you want to get to that 10K, 20K goal, added a new revenue over the next few months, that'd be a big win for you, right? Great. Honestly, that's exactly what we help our clients do all the time. Would you be opposed to doing a quick 15, 20-minute call a little later this week? I can break some things down for you, share how this works. Awesome. All right. So how does tomorrow at X time okay, now we're just going to lock in the time. Pretty straightforward. All right, so when you are cold calling, it's a bit different, but essentially you're still gonna have a quick opener. You want some context, you need context. Take their ammo. This is a big one for cold calling, where you don't want them to use anything against you, so you take their ammo and you say all the bad stuff about what you're doing. Nothing bad, but you tell them hey, I'm calling you out of the blue. I like to make, again, kind of a joke here, not an overseas call center or anything crazy like that. I want you then to affirm for them that they are a good fit, because if you are cold calling, it's very likely that they don't know why that you think they're a good fit. You got to tell them. Always ask for permission, pitch with a metaphor, and set the call. Here's how it goes. All right, 3, 2, 1. Hey, looking for John. Yeah, hey John, hope you're having a great morning. I just had a super quick question for you. You run an HVAC company out of Dallas, Texas, right? Cool. Yeah, I found you guys on Google. I actually saw you had some solid reviews. To be totally honest, not looking to get any HVAC done. I am calling you out of the blue. I'm sure you get calls like this all the time, but I'm not an overseas call center or anything weird like that. But if you give me 30 seconds, I think what we do might actually make a lot of sense for your business if you're open to new ways of getting more jobs. Would you be open to that? Yeah, I just want to give you kind of first right of refusal before I go down the list here and go find some other people in your area. But only with your permission, of course, if this is something that you would even be interested in. Do you even have the capacity to take on more jobs right now? Okay, cool. Well, if you're open to it, do you mind if I share really quickly what we do and see if you're even open to doing a conversation a little later? Great. All right. So I like metaphors, right? They're really easy to understand and simplifies kind of what we do, because you're good at what you do. But in terms of what we do, two things, right? So your business is a bucket. You fill that bucket with water. Water is prospects and leads. And there are often times in businesses, especially home service businesses, because you guys are on job sites all day, there are these holes in that bucket where the water leaks out. So leads call in, they don't get followed up with in a timely manner. They don't, maybe get circled back to, or if they kind of ghost you or go back and forward, or maybe just, they call after hours and no one picks up the phone at all and they end up going to a competitor. So what we help do is not only fill that bucket with water of more opportunities, but plug those holes in the bucket using some of the tools so you're not missing out on those opportunities when you can't be readily available to speak to your prospects right away. Would that be something that might be worth a short 15, 20-minute conversation later this week? Cool. So what we can do is just set that up. I can break it down for you then. I'm not trying to take up all your time right now. I know this is an impromptu call, so thank you for giving me your time. How does tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern work for you? Now you're going to go into it like that. Now, I'm going to not qualify as much here in a cold call because frankly, they're qualifying you. You interrupted them. You are getting in front of them. But how you can make this easier is the context of why you're calling, give them a clear, specific reason, take their ammo, and then again, you saw how I was able to kind of paraphrase based on just my general knowledge of the industry. The more you can speak their language, communicate in the way that they're used to being communicated with, it's going to make a big difference. So here's a couple scripts you can use. Again, the whole point of this video is just like the understanding of what you do when they say, yeah, now isn't a good time, can you call back later? I'm in the middle of something. This is a really great way where you just kind of lean in. You acknowledge it, you push through to your next question. This is the simple way to do it. So again, if you like this, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.